Hi, Nancy here, and I want to teach you how to do the brioche stitch. It's it's a really cool rib. Um, this is two color. You can do them one color. I think one color is probably more difficult to learn because at least with the color you can see you've got something you can base it against. And what I'm going to do is roll this. Do you see on the inside the predominant stitch, the knit stitch, is green, and on this side it's gold, so it's completely reversible. And how it's done, you're working with two different balls of yarn, and even if this were the same color, the case would still be the same. And how you work this is, I'm going to slip my marker. Alright, and this is how I tell myself how to do this, okay? After I slip the marker, first of all, my green is in front. The green is what I cast on in. So we're going to say that this is the purl side. Even though I don't have to turn it inside out, but this is going to be the purl side, and you're going to see what I mean. So when I look at this, my green is coming out the front. I know the gold's coming out the back because I just finished doing that. And that's where people get confused because you're like, oh, okay, well, what do I do first? Do I take the gold and start working with that, or do I do the green? So I'm going to show you some things to kind of look at so that you get the idea. When you're going to do the purl portion of it, okay, when you slip your marker, what's going to be looking at you is a yarn over, a purl stitch, and a knit stitch. Okay, this is going to look different when we have to switch to the gold and do the knit. So when we come around, you'll see that. But when you're going to do the purl, and the purl part is what the cast on is as well. So there's your connection right there. If you cast on in green, this will be the purl. And it's not that you're actually purling, but this will have the purl two together. All right. Our yarn is forward, so what I'm going to do is I am going to begin, we're going to purl these two together, okay? That's how you begin this, with the purl. So we're going to purl two together, okay? But now I am going to take my yarn over, but not around, over my needle. More of a yarn forward, okay, than a yarn over. And I'm going to slip the next stitch, the knit stitch, off. And I'm going to always slip as if to purl, okay? Now I'm going to bring the yarn forward. Remember this yarn forward. And then we're going to purl two together, okay? Now we're going to have it over. So I just kind of bump it with my needle. Come forward. Purl two together. You really get a rhythm going here. This takes a lot of yarn. You typically go down a needle size from what you normally would use with the weight yarn. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to bump this. So I'm not really doing this. If you start doing this, it's not going to come out right. Okay, so I'm going to slip. Then I'm going to take this. And then I'm going to purl together. Okay, I'm going to try to show you as a English knitter, and I'm not an English knitter, so I apologize, but I'm going to give it a whirl, okay? All right, so if I were English knitting, I'm going to bring this up and forward, and then I'm going to slip this knit stitch, okay, and then I'm going to bring it back forward. Then I'm going to purl these two together. Okay, I'll do it again. So we're going to knit. You're probably laughing at me if you're watching this. I'm struggling with this. Okay, there's the yarn is up. It was forward, so I'm bringing it up, slipping the knit stitch. Then I'm bringing this to the front. Then I'm going to purl two together. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to my normal way. So I made an effort. I apologize. I'm not really great at that method. Okay, so we're going to go like this, and I just want to do it nice and slow. Okay, so we're just going to go all the way around. It's fun to do. It really does hold your interest. Okay. Try to speed it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to show you another thing. If you get goofed up here, and this is where I'm going to show you. Okay, we're going to slip this, and it always seems to be a yarn over, that you didn't get that yarn forward over your needle from the previous row. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to look like, okay, there's a problem here. All you need to do is reach back and grab that stitch and then put it back up on your needle. And now you found it again. There it is. So this is what's going to happen to you. It happens to me all the time. They slide off the needle, or you inadvertently forgot to put it on there, so just put it back on your needle. It's all good, no problem. Now we're going to purl two together again. If you have to pick up a drop stitch, I will tell you, don't drop any stitches. But if you do, same is true. You have to roll it back, and then you would pick up on this side, watching your yarn, because you have to keep both of them behind your stitch. If you're picking up on this side, do you see this here? You've got two that are floating behind. So you just have to make sure the right yarn is sitting in the right direction. Like in this case, the green is riding above the gold. If it were on the knit, it would be the other way around. You know, so you'll get the hang of it. You just end up playing with it is what you end up doing. It's not horrible. It's tight on this needle too, so okay, we've just finished what I call the purl, which is the purl two together. Okay, now we're ready to do our knit. Now our green is in front, so that's just going to stay there. We're going to slip our marker. Now I want you to grab onto the one that's coming out the back, so we know this is going to be knit related because the working yarn is coming out the back. Okay. Now I want you to look at this picture here. When you begin the knit round, what you're going to look at here is a purl stitch, a yarn over, a knit. So that's how you know you're going to be doing a knitting two together. Your working yarn is going to be out the back. It's going to be opposite from what you cast on with. And after you slip your marker, you're going to have a purl, a yarn over, a knit. All right? So here's how we start this. Okay? We're going to take our right needle and we're going to kind of just bump it forward here. There's our working yarn, and we're going to slip that purl stitch off the needle. Then we're going to keep the yarn to the back and knit two together. Okay? There you go. In the back, we're going to just bump it with our nose, just like you're bumping something out of the way with your nose. And then we're going to slip it off our needle, knit two together. Okay? Like this. See how I'm just doing this? I'm not doing this because it's not going to work. You're going to end up with an extra stitch because it's going to end up, I don't know why, it just doesn't work. Okay, here we are. And I'm still keeping that yarn behind. I'm not bringing it forward on this. The only time I bring it forward is when I'm doing the purls part. Okay, so I'm just bumping it. And then I'm going to knit two together. Okay, now I'm going to try to do it again for the English knitters out there. Okay, so this is right here. So I'm just going to bump it. And then I'm going to slip. And then I'm going to take my stitch and wrap it Okay. Sometimes you gotta fiddle with this a little bit so it lays down nice. All right. So there's my yarn right here. And then I'm going to slip it. And now I'm going to reach over and I'm going to knit two together. Okay. I'm going to do one more. There. I'm not really going over, I'm just holding it there. Slip. And then I'm going to knit two together. Okay. And periodically look on the inside and make sure that all these knit columns in the opposite color are lining up. If they're not, you've goofed something up, and you want to do it, and you want to check it and fix it while you're still on that row rather than going back and have to undo it. And people do cables, they do all kinds of cool things with this stitch pattern. It's really neat. But I'll do one more on the knit. Here we go. Forward, whoops, and then knit two together. And see, when this is done and I come to my mark, remember I told you on the purl, there is your yarn over, purl, knit. So that's your identifier, and that's what you will do when you have the green. This is the brioche stitch. I hope you have fun doing it.